Three, two, one, live.
Welcome to the Paris à Lagos. In this program, we talk about any topics related to the Black community all over the world.
So, welcome on board to the first flight of the Paris à Lagos. There are so many things going on around the world this month, but relax, we'll get to our destination. This is Kobia, your pilot, and I am assisted by my co pilot, Mrs. OI. Hi, Mrs. OI.
Hey, Kovia.
How are you doing?
I'm fine.
Okay, good. So, tell us, what is the itinerary today?
So we will take off from Paris and land in Lagos. We will fly over many cities and countries and also make a landing in others. So here are the topics for today. First topic is living in a 3 meter square in the North Hemisphere or 30 meter square in the South Hemisphere. Second topic is ethnical statistics in France. Are you for or against? And the last topic will be, should African names be the new norm?
Oh, good. Sounds like interesting, right? So, the Paris à Lagos first edition to all passengers, immediate takeoff. So, we wanted to discuss about some social matters and equality, talking about living in 3 meter squares in the north or in the south. We wanted to discuss about that because we saw a documentary about a lady called Diana in California, and that lady was living in 3 meter square. It was in the cap, basically. And I was like, okay, we keep on saying that in the westernized world, people have the comfort and yeah, and people live in a comfort zone. But how if we should compare about the same way of living, what would we prefer? Like, if is it basically okay? Let me start afresh, because we compare social, social norms and social acquisitions in the north and in the south, and the question is if we had the same opportunity, or in this case, less opportunity in the north concerning sleeping habits, what would we prefer? So, Mrs. Oi, what would be your, I mean,
My
your
choice.
choice, your choice exactly?
Me, with no doubt, living in a 3 meter square in the north part of the world, rather than to live in a 30 meter square in the southern part of the world.
All right.
And what
Sounds
about you?
sounds like yeah, understandable. To me, I prefer living in 30 meters square in the south. The reason why I say that is because sleeping and having a place to live is really, really important. For example, if we take into consideration the Gini coefficient, the Gini coefficient says that basically inequality is okay. Where it shows the world map of income inequality, and it shows that in different places where you have inequalities, sleeping and then having a place to sleep is part of those. So it's part of wealth gap. And to me, even if we say that we think that America or even in the Western world, they have so much social benefits, it's not obviously true in a sense, because when you take into consideration California, where we are talking about, the city of California, it has 50% of all the American homeless people, and that's very is enormous. So I think that taking that into consideration, it's better to have a place where you have like maximum size where you can benefit from yeah, personal personal acquirements, rather than being a place where you are in a so little tiny space where it can affect your being and your happiness.
Okay, I get your point, Kovia, but Okay, for me, one of the reasons that I would rather live in a 3 meter square in the North Hemisphere is that you get at least the basics, like water,
Yeah.
power, and hygiene. Why I'm saying that? Because I think there is some information that is important that we should bring to our audience.
Yeah.
So the way people they live, the condition of living in the southern part of the world. If we take, for example, the African continent, and more specifically the sub-Saharan continent, the sub-Saharan part of Africa, it's important to say that the number of children, the average amount of number of children by woman is at least 4. If I yes, it's at least 4, and it goes up to 7, which is in Nigeria. So, which means the basic, the typical African sub-Saharan family is made of about 6 people, right? So I think it's very important to keep in mind that it's not just you alone that live in the 30 meter square. It's 6 people. And most of the time, you don't even have toilet and bathroom inside. In most of the time, it's sharing bathroom and it's sharing toilets, at least toilets, which involves the question of hygiene. Sorry, that I've mentioned earlier. So for these reasons, yes, for me is definitely. I think there are conditions. These conditions are paramount in the life of a human being. Just their basic needs, and that one I cannot just put it aside.
Okay, I understand your points. When you mentioned basic needs, it reminds me of, the Maslow pyramids of needs, and all that. And it talks about, yeah, psychological needs, safety, love, and belongings. But I don't know if you heard about, there have been some studies conducted which doesn't agree with that stipulations. It says that this pyramid has been reversed. Let me just find the name of the conductor of the studies. Just a second. All right, so yeah, I just found it. It's done by Professor Alberta Cati. And what you say is that basically in Africa, normally we are supposed to, it's based on community and collectivism, okay? Whereas Maslow's hierarchy is typically presented as whitewashed and is based on individuality, individualism. So she says that in Africa, we should paint another pyramid instead of putting the emphasis on actualization of self. We should put it on community, society, and generational legacy. That means that instead of saying that, yeah, a person, in order to be fulfilled, need a psychological base, the safety, love and belonging, esteem, and self-actualization, we should reverse it and base it on community, and then the self-actualization comes on the top of the pyramid.
Oh, this is very interesting. Thank you, Kobe. I've never heard about this pyramid, and is opening my mind. But I will stick to my position. Why? And I will link it to that new pyramid that you are referring to. True, we have to adapt the pyramid to the African society, which is totally different from the European society. But the fact is, even the African society is heading to the same model as the Western society. Why? People are living more and more in the urban area. Yes, area, and even standards. Thank you. And even standards. If you take the most populated city in Africa, which is Lagos, with about 20 million people, today the statistics say that between 50% and 70% of Lagos, which is the economical capital of Nigeria in West Africa, is a slum, basically. And why? Because the urban, I mean, every day people are coming from the rural part to live in Lagos for economic reason, of course. And since 2018, the urban population in Nigeria has exceeded the rural population. So that pyramid that you are referring to, I will say that is fading, is less and less realistic to the actual realities of the African continent, and which mean people they have more and more needs similar to the northern part of the world, right?
Yeah.
Which affect definitely, I mean, that brings to the economic and the financial aspect. Living in a city like Lagos is financially is crazy. Only few people can live in a good condition, and to even go deeper in that analysis, if you want to live in a very residential area of Lagos, a very nice with the European, international standards, you are heading to cost of living very close to Paris, London, or Los Angeles, as you said. So you can imagine that only few people have access to that. And which means someone that, if you have the opportunity to live in a 30-meter square in Lagos, as I said, first of all, the basic family is at least 6 people, but they live that way beyond that. Because for them to be able to afford that 30-meter square, it may be several families that will gather, or many people, because there is also the situation of, if you take people that come from the northern part of the country, it's only the men that come and they leave their family in the village, but they gather, so they can be, I don't know, something like 10.
Okay, so
in this 30-meter square. So just for them to be able to have a roof.
hello. Oh no.
In the way for you to be, sorry?
It cuts.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, now I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay, so it's a way for you to afford a comfortable place that can respond to your basic needs at an affordable cost.
Yeah, I understand your points, but let's remember that in Japan, the model, the urban model of people getting small space, living alone, has gone to a certain point that they have this phenomenon called hikikomori, and hikikomori basically is people who refuse to live in society, in community with amongst others. They are in recluse, basically. They close themselves in a room and never get out, and that is anxiety provoking. On the other hand, it provokes also medical problem that the society has to deal with, because it creates more and more psychological disturbances. Talking about medical problem, I'd like to shift our gear to another problem that can be outstanding when you take that perspective into consideration. I mean, when we say 3-meter square in the north and 30-meter square in the south, what people think is it's better to travel in a place where I'm not going to have the basic needs, but I'm going to have money. So that brings into immigration. And you know that immigration We have illegal and illegal
Hello, Kubia?
immigration. But yes, yes. Do you hear me?
Hello,
Hello.
Kubia.
Yes. What's happening? Hello. Hello. Do you hear me? Do you hear me? Yes, I hear you.
Ah là, c'est bon. Je
C'est
t'entendais
bon?
plus. Ouais, là,
Ouais,
c'est bon. Vas-y.
Attends, je vais brancher. Je vais changer de câble. Ok. Ok, tu m'entends?
Ouais, je t'entends très bien.
Okay, good. So what I was saying is, let me get back to my
I think you were talking
immigration.
about the health
Yeah,
condition.
health condition that hikikomori in Japan. Yeah, it creates anxiety. It creates anxiety. But I'd like us to shift our gear to another problem that is really relevant when it comes to uh, African perspective. Immigration. When you talk about immigration, know that there is a phenomenon called the brain drain. And doctors in 2012, more than 20% of medical staff that flew from Africa went to the Western world, 20% of them. So can you even imagine, even if those 20% we were able to keep them in Africa, what would be the solution right now? What would be the health situation in Africa? Instead of them saying, oh, we will be able to go to another country and have accommodation, having better life, basically. So this is a phenomenon also that we have to deal with in order to avoid those brain drain. Yeah, because just
Yes.
to end this year, we lose about 34 million of qualified workers. The perspective is up to 2050, we are going to lose, Africa is going to lose 34 millions of qualified workers. So what are we doing with all those qualified workers instead of keeping them in Africa and letting them, instead of letting them go, we must keep them in Africa.
But Kubia, we cannot put the responsibilities of African immigration on the head only of the health professionals. This is not fair. I mean, the African population is made of health professionals, engineers, scientists, and etc.
Exactly.
and etc. So it's not only them. I mean, they have the right to fight for a better future, like we all do, and that's it.
It was just an example saying that, and that's why I mentioned like 34 millions of qualified workers is said to be flying from Africa up to the 2050. So I just mentioned 20% of the medical staff fleeing from Africa, but amongst them, if we add all the rest of the sector of other qualified workers, it's a huge number.
Is huge, but I think now if we keep on going on that path, we are heading to a bigger problem, which goes beyond where you live. You understand?
Yeah.
It goes beyond that. We will head to the politics, the African politics, the economy in Africa, and all of that. So, which is not really the matter.
Okay.
But to conclude on my side, I will say that living in a very small space in the northern part of the world is also a way to save money, because less let's also specify that most of people that live in these conditions,
Is
they are
it
young
possible?
people.
Excuse me, just cut. Is it possible to remove, like, put your phone in mute because it keeps on
To,
vibrating? Your phone.
oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Sorry, it's because I got messages, that's why. Donc ça devrait s'arrêter là.
Okay.
So I was saying that yes, because it's important also to insist on the fact that people that live in this type of home are young. They're young, graduated. They just graduated from school, so they have just started their professional life. They don't have children. They're not married, and it's just a period in their life. And we all know that when we start working, when we start settle down, it can be a bit difficult. So you have to manage, you have to do some sacrifices, and at the same time, if it gives them the opportunity to save money, why not?
Okay. And to me, yeah, I will conclude by saying that, yeah, even if you mentioned that people living in the southern hemisphere live in a family, they live in they live in larger groups in a small space. To me, it's the family background that's the basic, instead of putting the material needs forward. So in order for a person to build oneself, family is one thing that's important. It's an important component. Okay, even if you live in a compound with different people, it's important to know that you're surrounded, you're not alone, so that it keeps you on those psychological needs in order to rebound and bounce to another level. So yeah, to me, 30 meters square in the south is better than having a material need and living in a 3 meter square, which can be detrimental for your health in the long run.
Okay. Let's end on that note, and now let's head to France. We are going to make a stop in France regarding that topic, the ethnic statistics in France. So recently, the UN has urged the French government to put in place ethnic statistics in order to stop the systemic racism. So the systemic racism, I just want to explain to those who may not be familiar with this word, is the racism that is originated from the organization of a society, that is coming directly from the government. So it can be police violence, it can be discrimination at school, or even discrimination at work. This is what we call systemic racism. So regarding the law in France about the ethnic statistics, is important to say that so in France we have the Data Protection Act of the 6th January 1978 that ban is a principal ban regarding the ethnic statistics. So which means that it's not formally forbidden, but is strongly controlled and framed by the law. Which means that in his article 8.1, it says that it's forbidden to collect and process information. I'm sorry, guys, I'm translated at the same time, and it's actually not easy at all. So it's forbidden to collect and process information and process data with personal that is specific to a personal that are personal, and that let appear directly or indirectly the racial origins, the ethnicity, the political opinions, philosophic opinions, or even your religion, or even if you are part of a union, or even information related to health and your sexual life. So, which, I mean, with all these conditions, is basically forbidden. And this has been a very, very hot topic in France since that time, where the minority are asking the government to stop this ban because we need ethnic statistics. Why? Like we can see it in the United States, for example, ethnic statistics give you it's like a photography of the composition of the society. So it's important for a better understanding. It's important for the government to settle social programs and all of that. But France is not the United States. And I think this is very important to keep it in mind that there are two very, very different countries. So, Kobia, what is your position regarding ethnic statistics in France or not?
Yeah, to me, those statistics are really important, essential, and I think that it must be. We have to take it to another level to further to have more information about what's going on in French society. To me, we have to maintain it. I mean, we have to remove the ban. They are it's above the point of being ethical or not. I think it depends on what we do with it. Lindsay, which is the institute, National Institute of Social Economic Studies, okay, they are already doing those surveys. The only thing that changes is that not all of them are communicated publicly. French government are able to know how many Catholics are in France, how many Muslims are in France. So based on that, how are they getting all those surveys if it is not already done? You see, French have a problem with its past, fear of reproducing what has been done during the Jews' persecution. So that's why everything is controlled, and they need the but one thing that you have to know is that those data are kept in a place. It's just they are just waiting for the opportunity to use them. And to me, it's important to use those statistics in an economic way so that France can be accountable when regarding what side of the category or what social category of the citizens are being discriminated against. Is too easy to say that we are the country of liberty, fraternity, and so on and so forth without even proving it. So we have to keep those ethnical statistics so that we can have data.
Right. Why me? I'm against it because, I mean, first of all, it's against the principle of the country. France doesn't recognize communities. France is one, is a unity. So, as you have just said, against those principles, freedom, equality, and fraternity, and the country stand on it. Everything is finger around that. Everything is deployed around that. We are just one. We don't have Black community. We don't have Chinese, I mean, Asian community, and so on and so on. So this means the country we have to totally shift from what it is now to a new model. I mean, something totally different. And I think that's why a lot of people are reluctant. And that is the reason that it has been going on in the country for more than 40 years now. People are just not, I think the country is not ready yet, even though it's true that we have to find a solution because we are facing we are definitely facing a systemic racism. It exists. It's there. I think we, as Black person, I have faced it. So definitely, I'm not going to lie about it. But I think it should be done in a different way. Maybe France should come along with something which is very specific to its own, to its history and its own principles.
Yeah, and saying that France doesn't, you know, that reminds me of that expression colorblind. People used to, in USA, people say, "Oh, I'm colorblind. I don't see colors," and all that stuff. But when it comes to the reality, it's totally different. It's really different because I think putting those surveys can put an end to discrimination. Why I'm saying is in the USA, you have those surveys about Black people's wealth, Black engineers, Black entrepreneurs. So everything is you have a figure on everything that's going on. So we can put a finger on what is wrong in the society, what is going on wrong in society. And in France, we have they don't believe in communitarism, but in reality it exists. When you go in different districts, you have Chinese districts, you have African districts where you can where they sell different products and all that stuff. So the government is aware of who does what. The thing is letting those information comes into the hand of and everybody. Maybe that's what is posing problem over here. It's causing the problem over here. So to me, is we can, as I said before, we can hold France accountable in case of housing discrimination, in case of employment discrimination. What percentage of the population is unemployed compared to other categories of population? And knowing that, we will know that, okay, this is what proves systematic racism. It's not about saying, okay, it exists, but what are we proving upon what basics? So I think that we have to deter this data and make it and put it in front of everybody so that we can know what's going on.
Okay, it's you are right, and but I think it's very interesting to. I think it's we should also link what you have said to another point. You have mentioned the fact that in the United States we have statistics, for example, about Black entrepreneurs, Black this, Black that, and me, I want to also point out that this doesn't help reducing racism, and the United States is a very good example. Of course, it points out the racial disparities, for example, in police violence, when regarding the Black community in general, because it's not only Black men that are affected by the police violence, but also women. It also points out, for example, the disparities regarding the health treatment, especially regarding Black women when they are pregnant and when they give birth. As the statistics has shown, Black women has more chance to die while pregnant and while giving birth compared to the other communities. But what has been done since? We have been talking about this police violence for, I don't even know what to do anymore. Huh? I mean, it was 1 year ago, the entire world felt involved in that issue of police violence against Black men in the United States. But what has changed? What has been done concretely? Nothing. So that's why I'm not really convinced. Yes, it's good to have the statistics, but if they are just there to be mentioned, for me, they are useless.
Okay. One more point before you conclude, Mrs. Oi. I think there can be a positive retrieval from these ethnical statistics. The reason why I'm saying is that in France you have the Lycée Averroès. Lycée Averroès is a junior high school, and it's among it was the fourth best high school in France. And to your knowledge, it is a Muslim establishment. It's a Muslim school, you know. And mentioning that gives people, I mean, it gives credit to the Muslim community. For those who aren't aware of the situation in France, Muslim community are are one of those who are being targeted every time there is a problem in France. And knowing that one of the best schools in France are Islamic, have Islamic background, it's important to give a new perspective, a new figure, a new face to that community, saying that, oh, you see, Muslims are not all bad, all this, all terrorists, and all that stuff. So as we have Jewish schools in France, having Muslim schools also can help integrate other fringe of the community. And I think also it will be good to have black schools because yeah, when I remember they were polemic where people were talking about, oh, this is you are being communitarist when you wanted to create a center where black women can come or black men can come to be listened to. People are saying, oh, you are not integrating other people, other fringe, but it exists. You have Jewish schools, you have Muslim schools. We need also black schools. Okay, it's fragmented yet, but it's not saying that we want to get out from the French society. It's just putting forward what our community need, what our people need.
True, true. And I think my last argument will be that so far ethnic statistics doesn't lead necessarily to social inclusion, as we have been referring all the way to the United States. I will refer to them again. I mean, so far it doesn't. All these ethnic statistics doesn't lead to major structural changes, and I think that if we have to start doing it in France, is toward that. It has to lead to major structural changes. Otherwise, let's just keep the system as it is. I don't think there is a point to follow the United States and still be, I mean, counting the black men killed by the police and all of that.
Can be black men or black women. Yeah, I don't
or
know.
black women is actually, yes, people of the black community anyway.
Okay, so I think it's time
so
for.
yes. So just, I mean, to conclude on that topic, do you have anything to add, Kobia?
No, I'm done with that. I think
Okay.
I've said everything.
to conclude on that topic, it's true, and especially in the black community in France, we like to refer to the US and the UK. Oh, they do ethnic statistics and it makes sense and it really helps. But for me, it doesn't really help the minorities to climb the social ladder. They're still struggling. The poorest community in the United States are still the black people, the people out of school, or we don't have access to university, to college in the United States are still the black community. So, I mean, all these statistics, I'm not fully convinced. So let's move on to the next point. So it's time for the captain's announcement.
Yes, Aya Nakamura is the first Francophone artist reaching the 1 billion listening on Spotify with her album.
Woo-hoo!
And she's also on the cover of Forbes as one of the 2021 women. So
well done,
as being a Francophone artist is really it's really encouraging for her to be put forward just like that. It shows that she has done a good work, and it promotes African women on the front. And hope she will go. She should keep on doing that way.
Great. I'm very, she's doing a good job. And there is something very important to say is that she has been kind of bullied in France. And let's be honest, we know why, because she's a black girl. She's a black girl. She's a dark girl. She's not the stereotype of that black woman that succeed like a Beyonce. She's not a light-skinned girl. Ayana Karuma, she's a dark girl. She has her own way to sing. Some people say that her lyrics are ridiculous. Whatever what you think, the fact is she just popping. She has been working very hard, and I think when you're able to reach this kind of success, it's not just luck. It's also a lot of hard work. So just well done, girl.
All right, so let's move on to let's take our plane to Africa, to African continent, and yeah, we wanted to discuss about a topic that that's important to us about identity. Should African names be the new norm? So we were just last time we discussed about it, saying, okay, my name is Kobia, and for those who don't know, yeah, I have a government name that I will not mention it, but it's an European name, and I'm willing to change that name on my paper because yeah, it doesn't suit with who I am. I mean, I'm trying to make the journey to retrieve my African identity completely. But you know, for those who are in that path, is something that's difficult. And I always ask myself, should African name be the new norm? Sometimes, yeah, we feel like yeah, ashamed of African name, and we want to put European names or Western names forward. So, Mrs. Oi, should African names be the new norm to you?
No.
Okay, just a common note. Maybe you can just
No.
can just give some arguments so that we can know your point of view, please.
Of course, of course. Nope, because it's just a name. I think is how you feel it, because a name is not just is it's something that you is what your parents put on it. So, for example, as you said, I mean, you talk about something very personal that you are trying to switch you Kobia. I mean, yes, you are trying to use Kobia now instead of your Western name, Christian name. And me, I've actually done that path few years ago. So me, my first name actually is not a Western name, is a Muslim name because I'm Muslim. But I just felt like it doesn't represent me. People used to mistaken me for an Arab woman, which I'm not. And I think yes, I just felt like, oh, my name should tell where I'm from, who I am. But at the same time, I think at the end of the day, it's just a name, and the name doesn't need to represent your origin. It can't just be your history or what your parents wanted to put on it. Let me break it down. For example, something which is very common among the Senegalese community is to find someone who is Muslim but bearing a Christian name. Why? Because they name after someone most of the time. So it can be the grandma, the grandpa, etc. But they also name after someone who is dear to them. So let's say a man has a very good friend, and this man is a Muslim man, but his very good friend is a Christian. And oh, the day he has a boy, he wants to pay tribute to that best friend, and he will name his child after that person. So that Muslim child will be bearing a Christian name. And for me, this is the beauty of that. This is the beauty of life. This is the beauty of human relations, is that your name carry also a story which is which belongs to your family and which is you are also come from. So your identity is not just where you are from, but also the history of your family, of your parents. That is why I don't think the African name should be the norm.
Okay, I disagree with what you said because to me, when we go back to our history, the fact that we are carrying westernized name is due to colonization,
Mhm.
and to me, we have to make the efforts to take back our religion, take back our name, and yeah, take back our history. So, a history is a thing that is uh, it, okay, it's a something that should be viewed in a 360 sphere in which you have several lines in it. So we can't remove just one line saying that okay, let's keep our religion and let's remove our name, let's keep our land, let's remove our history. I think in order to be complete as Africans, when we talk about Afrocentrism, it's important to gather all the informations that have been removed from us. Okay, it's a transmission. It's a transmission homework duty that we have to do. And to conclude, is it? I mean, to end my argument, it's impossible, and I'm saying it's really impossible. Like I've never seen an European or an American, a white person carrying an African name. It's very, really rare. You see, can you imagine a person called Abdallah, like servant of God in Swahili, or Abdul, a worshiper of God? And you mentioned it. It's all about. It's also all about colonization, Islamic colonization, Christian colonization. So it doesn't tell who we really are. You have to go back to our source, how Egyptians see things, our ancestors see things, because a name carrying a name is is the lineage, it's the name of our ancestors. So it means something, I think.
You are right, but I think for those of us that are part of the diaspora and that were born, grew up, and live in the Western world, we are all aware that our African names can be a way to discriminate us, can be a tool of discrimination, and whether when we are at school, when we are looking for a place to live, when we are looking for a job, etc. So
Mm.
I would say is each one with his own or own battle. For people on the continent, okay, you won't face all discrimination, but when you are living abroad, this is a reality, and it's clearly a reality that we are actually trying to find the right balance. Our generation,
Mhm.
as you said, yes, I mean African names are part of our identity. And for example, me, I've noticed in my community, in the other African communities, and even my husband and I, what we are trying to do with our children names is to find very African names, but at the same time that can sound kind of westernized.
Yeah, you mean
Yes,
something that is easily pronounceable, right?
yes.
Uh,
For example,
okay.
if you when you break down the name, so if
Mhm.
you take Yoruba names or Igbo names, they are very long names. So on a daily basis, we don't call you by your full names. I don't know, someone who is called Oluwadamilare, for example, which is a Yoruba name. So you can hear that it's very long. We don't call you every day, constantly, Oluwadamilare. We will call you Dami or Larry, which is the short version. So what we are trying to do is to find some of these names that can, when you shorten them, they sound Western. So, for example, okay, Dami or Larry. Okay, Dami can sound Western actually, but you have like a name like Faraye Olua. Faraye Olua is a girl's name. So when you cut Faraye Olua, which is actually is deep Yoruba name, and you can hear it's definitely not a Western name. But when you shorten it, it becomes Farah, and Farah is it can be Western, it can be Christian, it can be Muslim name. So everybody is happy and bam, and it's easy to pronounce wherever you go in the world. So this is what a lot of us are trying to do, find the right balance, because at the end of the day, when you are from the diaspora, you are in between. You are in between both worlds, both cultures, and you're just trying to maneuver yourself and find what works for you.
Yeah, I understand. I understand that it's a part of the strategy to copy in society. Yeah, this is really understandable. But let us not forget that on the other way around, Europeans or Americans that don't bother themselves to shorten their names or do whatever to please us. The name such names like Schwarzenegger, it's something that has been common. Why? Because it has been repeated, promoted, learned. So we have to make sure that even when people have difficulties pronouncing the name, we keep on reminding them, correcting them, so that it sticks in your mind. I know, yeah, on the daily basis, it's something that's difficult, and I'm not preaching for everybody to start and put in African names everywhere. Yeah, it's a okay, it's a personal journey. It's a personal journey,
Yes.
but yeah, I'm inviting everyone to like take the journey and go deep into that reflection to see what can be the benefits, what can be really the benefits of it. Because a name is the power of a lineage. A name is the power of a family.
My last argument will be that there are so many ways to claim your identity. True, there is the name. I absolutely agree. But I think it's not the only way, and it's actually not enough. We have so many children bearing African names,
Sure.
in the diaspora, and they don't know anything about their African culture. They don't even have a clue of
Yeah.
what is their African culture. And I will also say the language. I think the
Yeah.
language is even more important than the name, because as we said, a language is the spirit, is the soul of of a tribe, of a country, even of a country. So for me, yes, names is a way to show your identity, to show that you are proud of where you are from, and as you said, it links you to your lineage, to your historical background, and all of that. But I would put the language in front of it before, and I think that we should work on it, because our language are disappearing, and if you don't do something, already in our generation, it's just a disaster. Even people that live in Africa, they don't even speak the language anymore. So can you imagine who is going to speak our language in the next generation? I think we should more focus on that than just the language. The language is important, but it's not the only thing to do.
Than just the name, you mean?
Yes. Oh
Yeah.
yes, don't just the name, exactly.
Okay, I think yeah, it's the topic that we are going to in the near future discuss about it. Talking about the language. Yeah, so yeah, please stay tuned for sure. So yeah, dear passengers, this is Kobe, your captain speaking. We're about to begin the descent. Please fasten your seatbelts. Since good trips go hand in hand with good memories, we invite you to visit our local gift store.
So I advise you, dear passengers, to go and read the book titled Beyond Bilal. So it's a book about the Black history in Islam from Mustafa Briggs. It's coming out soon.
All right, good. And to me, to stick with one of our topics, we remind you to go and read the Book of African Names by Asante Moli Kete. And he explained the meanings of some African names, and yeah, he gives definitions, and yeah, it's really, really interesting. So if you're curious about African names, please read the Book of African Names by Asante Molifi Kete. This was our first flight with the Paris Lagos. Thanks for. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it very correctly.
You mix French and
You mix
English.
French and English. So it was our first flight with the Paris Lagos. Thank you for having chosen. Thank you for choosing our line, and see you soon for new destinations.
Please, guys, subscribe to our social networks platforms. See you soon for new
For new
destinations. Bye
destinations. Bye
bye.
bye.
On s'appelle sur WhatsApp?
Ouais.